when you're communicating with an audience, it's not enough to just to say something. You have to say it in such a way that it's effective, that it's going to get your audience interested, engaged, and really excited about what you're talking about. Because if your audience is kind of like, whatever, bleh, you really aren't connecting with that audience. The audience isn't really getting what they should be getting. So you want to have a way to make that connection strong and powerful and really work. And there are several things to think about. Several things you want to think about. And this is something I didn't discover just all at once. Actually, it happened over time. It happened from studying the best speakers. You see, if you study the best speakers, you start to really learn what the best speakers are doing, what good speakers are doing, and what makes them good while they do it. Because good speakers didn't just get that way. Good speakers probably studied other good speakers. And those speakers studied other good speakers, and so on and so on. By understanding what the good speakers do, what the best speakers do, you become a good speaker, and maybe if you work at it, even a really good speaker. It's all about understanding what you really want to get out of your speech, how you want your speech to work. Because as mentioned, if your audience is like, whatever, no big deal, doesn't really matter, then you lose your audience right at the beginning. And that used to happen. I think, what's going on? I don't get it. Because people just weren't involved. They weren't interested, and I didn't know why. Didn't make any sense to me. I thought, well, I'm interested. Why aren't they interested? That should be enough. I'm interested in this thing, so they should be interested in it too. But if you've been doing speaking for any length of time, you know it just doesn't work that way. Just because you're interested in the subject doesn't mean the people themselves are interested in the subject. Have you ever been in front of an audience and thinking, it just isn't working, I'm just not making that connection for some reason, there's something missing here? Then you know where I was when I started studying the best speakers. I thought, there's just something missing here, something I'm not getting. It should be easier to connect with an audience, but it just hasn't happened yet. Then I started understanding several things about speaking. They're kind of big picture things, or things I hadn't thought about before. But I started studying really the best speakers. These things started becoming mentioned more and more. Different ways they were mentioned, but it was always the same sort of things. And getting an understanding of what these things are will help make you a better speaker. Because the best speakers, the better speakers, do this all the time. Now some speakers, of course, do it without any work. They just, fine, they just roll out doing it. And if you can automatically captivate your audience, get everything going and flowing, you feel wonderful on stage, great. You don't have to listen to any of this. But if you're struggling to make that connection with your audience, you're thinking, I'm just not quite sure what's going on, it's not happening for me. If you're ever like that, as I was, then you want to pay attention to these things, because they're very simple. It's quite often in speaking discovered that the most powerful things, the most effective things you can do as a speaker are very, very simple. And the simpler they get, the more powerful they are. Seems weird, right? It's so simple, Tim. Why should it be so powerful? Because it's simple. Because simple will appeal to the broadest nature. The broadest people out there. The simpler you keep it, the more basic you keep it, the more powerful it is. And when you start understanding what these principles are and how easy and simple they are, you can start using them and really beefing up your own speeches. Really helping. Because when you understand these basic principles and start to use them, all of a sudden your speeches flow more easily, more powerfully, more certainly. There's something about it that just really works. You'll develop a new sense of confidence on stage, a new awareness of yourself, just a new ability to speak that you may have thought you never really get to. Just by taking these several things and really understand them. So today, you're going to learn about what makes for an effective speech, an effective speaker. The first thing an effective speaker needs is something that is challenging, difficult, but really has to be there if you're going to be an effective speaker. If you're really going to connect with your audience the way you really want to connect in a deep, meaningful level, this first tip really has to be in place. And you'll discover as you start developing it that you get a more certain connection almost immediately because it's right there. The audience thinks, oh, okay, yeah, all right, I'll listen. I'll keep an open mind and I'll listen. And that's really all you can ask of an audience, just to listen, or keep an open mind about what you're talking about. May not buy in, but at least they'll listen. And so the first thing you want to have as a speaker is authority. Authority. It's quite often as a speaker, when you get up there, especially if you're beginning, you're kind of uncertain of yourself. So you go up on stage, you're kind of, I don't know quite what's going on. Here I am, and I've got some ideas. I'm not quite sure what they are. I mean, I think they're important. I mean, some people have said they're important, but I don't know. I mean, maybe they're important. Maybe they're. You can decide for yourself whether you think that is this something you should be doing or what. Because you know it's difficult to figure out what really the most important things. And who am I to say this is more important than that? I mean, you can make up your own minds. But these are some things that maybe, perhaps, if you don't, then you. Bleh. If you've ever done that, you ever got up on stage and given one of those kind of rambling sort of speeches, then you know. You're thinking, wait a minute, I don't have much authority here. And the audience is like backing away and saying, what's this guy doing up there? What's this gal doing? What's going on? Because even though you may have heard that, hey, your audience doesn't want to be yelled at or talked down to, that's true. But your audience wants to have at least the vaguest idea. You know what the heck you're talking about. After all, if you don't know what the heck you're talking about, why should your audience pay attention to you? If you aren't an authority, or you don't at least have some sort of authority, why should the audience listen to you? And if you don't even trust yourself, you're not even confident enough in yourself to believe whatever it is you think you believe, well, your audience certainly isn't going to believe it either. So authority is really important. Authority is not about, you do what I say right now. It's not about teacher and student. As mentioned, the audience hates to be lectured to. But even if you aren't lecturing to them, still, you can sound confident, certain of yourself, and just beware of the things that undermine you. Instead of saying, well, I don't know, perhaps it could be, you just say, many people know that, and go from there. If you're feeling like you want to cite something, say, experts say, and then cite who the experts are. Time magazine last week reported that, so you can use authorities to give yourself authority. It's kind of a reference authority. At least you know what you're talking about because you check with somebody else that knows what they're talking about. But you can also be an authority on yourself. You are an expert on you. You're the best researcher of you in the whole world. So when it comes to something that happened to you, you're an authority on it. That's why personal is powerful. Personal is powerful because you're an expert on you, and that gives you authority. Also, when you're speaking, speak low and support your voice. Now, it's going to take more time than I have today to talk about how to support your voice. But learn to breathe low, breathe in air low, and hold your guts tight while talking. This is the same approach used for singing, and it'll give you a lot of authority. Okay, you're already a more effective speaker. because now you're aware of authority. And even if you don't have authority, you're thinking, okay, how do I get authority? And that's great. And once you start putting more authority in your speeches, you will notice a new connection, a new instant kind of awareness of the audience. The audience will kind of sit up and say, hey, there's something going on up there. Maybe I'll pay attention to that. Sounds like that person knows what they're talking about. So that's good. That's great. And then there comes the next thing, the next little tip, the next thing you want to have an effective speech. It really helps things along a lot. And it helps your audience a lot too. Because it gets them going. And that thing you really need to have in your speech is energy. Energy. And probably I don't need to explain what energy is. You've probably seen speeches that lack energy. You're just aware of it. There's something about the speech and you're thinking, just kind of lackadaisical. The speaker is standing in front of you and saying, well, I'm not quite sure. We're thinking about today a possibility that these things are going to be happening and this is going on here. And yesterday I went out and this happened and I saw that. And it just kind of goes on like that. And each line of the speech is more boring and sing-songy than the one before. And you're thinking, oh my God, how long is this going to last? It seems to just go on forever and ever and ever. And pretty soon it's like a bad Monty Python skit where the person is just blabbing away, not really saying anything in the most boring, monotone tone you ever can imagine. You just want them to stop now. So don't do that. Have energy. Energy. Little things. And you don't have to wave your hands around the air, but hey, if you do a little gesture here, a little gesture there, bob up and down, something to have energy. To keep things going. Now you don't have to pace back and forth on the stage. That's just a complete misunderstanding. It doesn't always give you energy. It just looks like you're either nervous or you have to go to the bathroom really bad. You don't want that. But you can have energy. Just use the arms a little bit. Over here and over here. Energy. It adds energy to your speech. And the more energy you get in your speech, the more people are interested in it. So you have authority of energy added to it. That's pretty good. Energy can come from excitement, like, wow, hey, great. That's energy. So you get excited, it's fine. So you keep your voice low for authority, but you get excited, it's, hey, your voice goes up a little bit in pitch, that's fine. That's energetic. And then you come back down again. Because that's how it works. Solid, excited, solid, energy, authority, energy, authority. It's like that. And in doing that, you get energy, you get excitement, people get interested. Hopefully you're excited and energetic about what you're doing. That'll make other people excited and energetic about what they're doing. But you might be wondering, Tim, I'm not that guy. I'm not the bouncy kind of this sort of thing. I don't do that. Okay, fine. But find ways to put some sort of energy. It could be just a gesture. A gesture can add some energy. On the one hand we have, and on the other hand we have. Now, granted, it's not a lot of energy, and it looks a little mechanical, but at least you're moving up there. You don't have to pace back and forth, but you can move your body. Move down a little bit, move up a little bit. These are all things you can do too. It all adds energy. And in every speech you give, you want to make sure you have that energy. Because it's that energy, that excitement, that interest that you have in what you're talking about that carries over your audience. And they start thinking, whoa, that guy's pretty energetic and excited about what they're talking about. It could be interesting. Maybe I'll pay attention. They sound like an authority. They've got a lot of energy. That's pretty good. But maybe there's one more thing I'd like to have. So you have authority. Now you have authority. You go out there, you speak with authority, and people say, okay, sounds like the guy knows what they're talking about. And you have energy, a little bit of energy going at it. That's great, fantastic. You've got this energy, you've got this excitement, you've got this kind of thing going on. And again, for you calmer types, even if you're more like Walter Cronkite than like Carrot Top, it's all right, it's fine. Just get some sort of energy. Even Walter Cronkite had a kind of sing-songy voice, and that had a little energy to his up and down and very authoritative style. It went up for energy and went down for authority, and up for energy and down for authority. It all works. But there's one more thing you want to think about having out there, and that is awareness. Awareness. Maybe now you're thinking, Tim, what the heck do you mean awareness? Of course I'm aware out there. I'm aware of what's going on. I mean, I'm on stage, I'm looking out at people. There they are, there I am. True, you may be looking out at people, but are you really looking at people, or are you looking over their heads? You may have heard this before. When you're with an audience, look over their heads. It'll be the same as if you're looking at them, and you won't be as nervous. That is a bunch of garbage. Garbage. Have you ever had a conversation with someone and you were looking over your head? And the whole time you're talking to them, you're thinking, what are they looking at? What's behind me? What? Tell me what you're looking at. Crazy, right? If you had a conversation with someone and they're just looking over your shoulder the whole time, you'd think, what's going on here? Same thing with your audience. A speech is just a conversation with your audience. And if you're having a conversation basically by ignoring the person you're talking to, people sense that. They're aware of that. You're fooling nobody out there. Well, yes, other day, people are looking up like, what was he talking to? There is no balcony here. I don't know who you're talking to. So you don't want to do that. So just be aware of the audience. Thinking, Tim, audiences scare me. Well, does an audience scare you when you're having a conversation? Of course not. So have a conversation with one person in the audience. Just pick them. Talk to them. And talk to somebody else. Now, if you're on a big stage where you can't see the audience, just pretend. You know where the audience is located roughly. Just look out there, and you'll probably be looking at someone without even realizing it. And have awareness of that person. That's what awareness is. So be aware that there's an audience out there. Aware that you're having a conversation. A good speech is not a lecture. An effective speech is not a lecture. And granted, there are a few people who can pull off lectures, but many people who can't. If you've ever sat through a university lecture before, you know there are a lot of professors out there who are just really boring. They have no authority, no energy, and they certainly aren't aware of their audience. They just blab. And it's really boring and really annoying. You don't want to be that kind of speaker. You don't want to be like a university lecturer speaker. That's nowhere to go. Be aware of people. Look at them. Talk to them. Communicate with them. You can do it. It's simple. You do it every day when you have conversations with someone. Anyone. A family member. A friend. Your boss. Whoever you have a conversation with, you look them in the eye and you talk back and forth. An interview, same type of thing. Speech is just like that. So be aware of the other person. It's that awareness of the other person the audience will be aware of. It's like, hey, talking to me. Actually talking to me, not over my head, not in my shoes. You're talking to me. It's just kind of like a conversation. This is okay. I like this. That's the effect you want to create of that one-on-one conversation. Just have a one-on-one conversation here, one-on-one conversation here, one person, one thought. Hey, how are you doing? I'd like to introduce this new concept that's going on. You're going to find an amazing thing today that's going to transform your life. Once you understand this, and so on. One person, one thought all the way around the room. That is what it means to be aware. If you want to be effective as a speaker, one thing you really need to do is several things. One thing is to speak with authority. Authority. When you're talking out there, you've got to sound like you know what you're talking about. And you've got to talk about things that you know something about. Either because you've read something about it in depth, or because it's a personal thing you've done and therefore an authority on it. Well, some people may want to do the reading in depth thing. The simplest way to have authority is to talk about things that you know, yourself and your own life. You're an expert on you. Also, to speak with authority, keep your voice low. Breathe from your gut. Some call it diaphragm, but that sounds silly. Breathe from your gut and support your voice. That simply means when you're talking, you continue to put pressure on your gut. So when you're talking, you just push on your gut, and you shouldn't be able to push your gut in. That indicates you're supporting your voice. It'll keep your voice low and steady, and it'll sound authoritative. Then get some energy. Energy is different from authority. Authority is down low. Energy tends to be higher. So you want to get a little energy in, raise your voice up a little bit. Worked for Walter Cronkite. Good evening, here is the news. Today, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. That was Walter Cronkite. He got energy by raising his voice up. He got authority by keeping the voice down. Up and down, up and down. What was the effect? You can do that too. Put a little energy into your voice. Make your voice energetic. Make your speech energetic. You can also use gestures. A little gesture here, a little gesture there, a little dip of the legs. All adds energy. Because while authority is good, authority all the way through without energy just isn't that interesting. So get the authority, but get the energy, get the excitement, get the interest, the passion. If you're energetic and excited about what you're talking about, your audience will think, hey, this guy's interested in it. This must be interesting. Now, hopefully your speech will be interesting, because after a while, if your speech isn't interesting, they'll figure, oh, I guess we were wrong. That speech actually was boring. Don't want that. But if you have energy, the audience will at least give you a chance. Energy is so simple. Just raise the voice up a little bit, get a little energy, and then drop it for that authority. And then finally, make sure you have awareness of your audience. Be aware of your audience. Not just, oh, there's an audience out there, but really make that connection. Remember, a speech is a conversation with the audience. And a conversation is one-on-one, looking people in the eye. No matter what you've heard, do not look over the head of your audience. It's as weird as somebody having a conversation with you and doing this. Hi, how are you doing? It's very nice to see you. If someone had a conversation like that, you would either slap them, or you'd look up to see, what are you looking at? I'm just conversing with you. No, you're not. I'm down here. You're looking up there. Not going to work. So you want to have awareness of your audience. Look people in the eye. One person, one thought. And if it's so bright on stage you can't even see the audience, just look out into where you know the audience is. You're going to make eye contact with somebody out there without even realizing it. And since it's all dark out there, it'll be great because you won't be nervous if you feel nervous in conversations. But most likely you aren't going to be on a stage that bright. Most likely you'll be able to look out in your audience and see people out there. That's the normal situation. And just be aware of them. One person, one thought, all the way down the line. It can be challenging to be effective as a speaker. There's so many things to be thinking about. But if you look at the best speakers, there are at least three things they all have and they all do. Authority, energy, awareness. When you get just those three things in your voice, you'll find yourself with a new confidence, a new certainty, a new ability on stage. People say, whoa, that's interesting. Guy seems to know what he's talking about. Certainly has worked for me over the years. It'll definitely work for you. Get that authority, get that energy, get that awareness, and become effective as a speaker.